Hi and welcome to another crafting video. I'm Beth and today I'm going to be doing some knitting, specifically fixing a mistake I've made in one of my knitting projects. I wanted to make a video on this because I feel like for a lot of people that kind of perfectionism is something that holds them back from starting knitting, and I want to show them that unfortunately mistakes are always going to happen in knitting, no matter how experienced you are, but it's okay because you can fix them. And it may seem scary at first, and I will say this is not a tutorial, by the way, but it is possible, and basically I want to reassure them that if they make mistakes, or rather when they make mistakes, it's okay, it's gonna be fine. Literally, it's just knitting, it's just some yarn, you can unravel it, you can start again, or you can unravel just a small section and redo just that section. Once you learn to fix knitting mistakes, it'll suddenly seem like not a big deal at all to make knitting mistakes, and to be honest, I wish I had this kind of lack of perfectionism in real life. Like, knitting mistakes don't bother me anymore, really. They're an inconvenience, yeah, but they don't have any impact on my self-esteem, on my confidence, or anything like that anymore. And I really wish I could apply that to other parts of my life. But anyway, so let's get started. I'll show you the project. This is a lace shawl that I'm knitting. I realise I'm wearing black and the shawl is black, so I have this blocking mat to show to be able to show what obviously the shawl is not blocked, so you can't see it very well. It's a bit kind of rumpled. Anyway, so you might be able to see, hopefully, I'm gonna show this camera. I've got another camera here. Right, hopefully this can see. Gosh, I just blinded myself by looking into that light. So hopefully you can see here that it has this like triangle motif to it. Now, I don't always fix knitting mistakes. Sometimes I'm just like, you know, that's a design feature now. Or if it's something that affects the stitch count, then I will, even if it's not right, I will just do however many increases or decreases it takes to fix the stitch count. And I'll just be like, right, that's normal now, that's fine now. But in this case, this motif, this triangle motif here, that's what I messed up, and it's very obvious that I've messed it up. So I've been putting this off for months, and yeah, it is currently early March, and I was last knitting this at the very end of December. So I've put it off for literally months. So right, I don't quite fully know what I did. I came across a mistake. I was in the car on the way back to my house from my parents' house. I was in the car, my parents were driving, my dad was driving, and I came across a mistake and I was like, great, that's fine, something's gone wrong, I'm not quite sure what, but it's fine, I can fix it. So I started trying to fix it, and then I'll show you actually in a few minutes. Yeah, I tried to fix it, and then I went, I may have bitten off more than I can chew, or rather I need things like a lifeline and an extra pair of needles to be able to fix this, which I didn't have at the time because I was in the car. And then I've just proceeded to put it off for several months, partially because I wanted to film this video and I just never quite had the time. So anyway, right, here's what I'm going to do. I've got these leather cords that attach to a needle, like so. I really hope this is in focus. So I have this leather cord that's attached to a needle, and I'm going to use this as a lifeline. So what a lifeline is, actually I hope this isn't too thick. What a lifeline is it holds your stitches for you so that the stitches literally can't unravel any further than that. So normally you would put it in at through your live stitches, the stitches that are on your needle right now. Unfortunately, I haven't put any lifelines into this shawl, so I'm just gonna have to like improvise one a few rows down from where I was. Oh, by the way, this is the Through the Witch's Garden shawl by Rye Flower Knits? By Rye Flower Knits. I have the pattern here, so that will help guide me. So you can see here, I've got 2 strands here that kind of skip these few stitches. And so what's happened here basically is I've dropped down 2 rows to try and fix it. I've not managed to fix it, and so I've just put these back onto this needle so that they don't drop any further. So, right, let's see. Can I see well enough to actually do this is the question. Right, so I think I'm going to put the lifeline in. I'm going to start at a couple of stitches early. So this isn't a very sharp needle. So I'm going to start at, say, I'm going to put it in the row below these stitches, I think, or maybe 2 rows below, I'm not quite sure. And then basically what I'm going to do is you end up with all these stitches, these bars, I guess, of yarn, this loose bits of yarn behind. And that's what we then use as our working yarn to restitch following the pattern. Okay, so let's have a go. So, right, where am I putting my needle? So that's the row that I've put back on here. So I'm going to go, so that goes to here, blah blah blah. So I'm going to put my needle into, not sure if I'm twisting these stitches or not, but it doesn't matter. I can fix that later. That's a very easy issue to fix if they're twisted. I'm going to go in here, I think, because I think this is the row below. Yeah, looks like it. I actually really can't see very well. I think I need more light. That's the problem with black yarn. Always need more light. Don't knock the camera. Right, this is a really cool little light. It's got a clip thingy, and so I can just go clip. And then this is adjustable, so I can do this. Then I turn it on wherever the thing is. I can turn it up. Great, okay. I hope that doesn't mess with the camera too much. Right. Because it doesn't help that because I'm trying to film what I'm doing, I would normally like have this here. I would normally like have this right in front of my face to work on it. Can't do that right now. I'm trying to film what I'm doing. Right, okay, so this is actually a much smaller mistake, like there's much fewer stitches involved than I thought. So it might not actually take me too long to fix. Although that sounds like famous last words, so we'll see, we'll see. Right, so then I just pull that through there, and that will hopefully keep those stitches safe. Right. Okay. What I think I'm going to do now is I might actually, these are interchangeable needles, so what I can do is I can take the needles off so they're not flapping everywhere, and I might just like pin everything down to this blocking mat just to keep everything nice and neat while I take off the stitches. I've got cable stoppers so that nothing slides off the end. Again, I didn't reach. There we go. So I think in here I have the needle stoppers, yes, and a couple of pins. I might need more pins than that, but I think I do have the pins within reach. So, oh, can't reach. Oh no. I got it, that's fine. gonna remove the needles. Is this twisting the right way? Am I twisting the wrong way? I don't know. Maybe I'm twisting the wrong way, so nothing's happening. There we go. Right. Remove that. And put the stopper on. There we go. Right, okay. Actually, why did I put the stopper on now? I need to take off. First of all, I need to take off the stitches that are wrong. I think this one. Yeah, you can see this yarn rejoins here, so we want that one to stay on the cable. I'll put the stopper back on. Right, so now I'm going to do. I'm going to pull all these further along. Get these out of the way. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to pin this down. Oops, don't stab yourself through the mat. It's okay, I needle felt, I'm used to stabbing myself. Alright, okay. Yeah, okay. Don't stop stabbing yourself, my god. Right, okay. Okay, can we now see what we are doing? Not really, but because that helps, I'm not sure. So we've got the two strands that we had before, and then we've got, oh, this has got tangled or something. Oh, there we go. Oh, I've missed some stitches. Shoot. Right. Okay, nobody panic. Nobody panic. Actually, I'm panicking. Okay, right, I'm gonna grab these stitches. This is what the lifeline was meant to be for. To stop these stitches from unraveling. Right, okay, I've got them. Everything's fine. Nobody panic. Okay. Alright, so I've got here 1, 2, 3, 4 strands. Need to knit back up. Okay. So, where are we exactly? Really, I want all my stitches to be on one row. I think I should have done my lifeline a little bit further down, maybe? Because I can't see what I'm doing here. Which is great, which is really exactly what I want, trying to show people that it's not scary to have to fix their knitting. These have gotten a bit tangled, which is interesting. I might have to. Might have to like undo a few more stitches on either side to work out what's going on here. There, see, that's how the lifeline's meant to work. I've unravelled that, it's unravelled down as far as here, and now it can't go any further, which is great, that's what we want. Okay, I think that maybe helps a little bit. Maybe. I think I might have gotten the lifeline through 2 different rows here. Yeah, I think it should have gone in here. Actually, I can fix that, can't I? Because this one's on the end. This is why it's a good idea to put the lifeline on while you're knitting, so you're not trying to guess. Obviously, it all looks in a straight line when it's on your needles, but once it's, you know, a few rows down, it kind of gets a bit like wibbly. It's like, what's on which row? Who knows? It's all kind of a fluid, fabric-y type thing. So anyway, I think that's all on the right row now. I think. Maybe. Okay, so I can see. Can I see? What can I see? think again I've gone between rows on my lifeline. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple more pins, and then what I can do is I can pin all of these out of my way so I can see a bit better what I'm doing. I'm going to pin them individually up over here. I learned this technique from a YouTube video. I'll link that in the description because that was very helpful. So this just helps me organise which strands are doing what order, and it just keeps things clear, keeps these things out of the way when I don't need them yet. So yeah, I just need, right, we can see that a bit more clearly now, can't we? So this strand is for these 2 stitches that I put on this needle here. So at this point, let's look at where we are in the pattern. We're at the point where we've got a yarn over, a decrease, a yarn over, a decrease. So where were we? Right, so this part of our lifeline is going through, I think it's going through the stitches that's on the same row, if that makes sense. You can see this one here. No, wait, what? I don't know. I'm confused. This one's going to be my pointing pin, my demonstrating pin. So, if I took on this bit of yarn, let's see where does that pull? So this bit goes, where does this bit go? God, it's hard to see. You know what? I think the lifeline is making things harder. Oh, this is the live yarn. Oh, it's attached to a stitch marker. Great. Just what? No, don't do that. That's all tangled. Haha. Good, great, wonderful. Just what I wanted. Let's untangle it because this is getting in the way. Yeah, I do see why everybody hates knitting with black yarn, because it is a pain, but also you may have noticed I'm wear basically nothing but black, so like, what's the point in me knitting something that I'm not going to wear when I'm knitting it for myself, because I've looked at it and I've gone, I want that in my life. Right, okay, that is now no longer in the way behind the lace, which is nice. Okay, now we can spread this out and have a proper look. Let's see. Right. Where I can't stab myself with it. Right, thankfully it's not very sharp compared to needle felting needles. Right. I know we're all scared. It's okay, we're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it. Okay, right, so this stitch here at the end of my needle, this one is knitted into the yarn over from 2 rows before. So therefore, I know that I need a yarn over after it. So I'm going to pick up a stitch here. I'm going to do it the right way around. Okay. So therefore these 2 stitches need to be knitted together, and I need another yarn over here. So I'll grab my other needle. Where's my other needle? It's on the floor. So we're going to use this yarn here, and no, wait, no, I'm going to put everything on this needle because this is the needle we want it all on. And then let's see. Can we see what we're doing? No, we can't, not really. Right. This is where we want to pick up the yarn over, I think. So, right. So then we wouldn't have, if we were doing this, you know, the first time round, we would have wrapped our yarn, which wouldn't have knitted. Wait. Okay, right, I'm gonna slip that. I'm gonna, oh, is this one a stitch slip knit, or is it a knit two together? I can never remember. Let's have a look. Oops. On this side we have slip knits. So. This one. Wait, I've forgotten how to slip knit. Go me, well done me. Grab that. What am I doing? No, that's not how you do that. I've forgotten how to knit. Great. Ah, yeah, right. No, it goes through. So that's what I do. That's how I do it. If I could see. Is that it? No. Not in. That's in. There we go, right. And then we grab one of this. Put it through. Try and put it through anyway. Hey, there we go. Right. Great, good, okay, good. Oh, that's stressful. And then I'm gonna knit this. How's that looking? Is that looking right? Who knows? Not me. Let's put these back over. This one I think I should have knitted actually. Maybe? Yes, because we'll end up with a bar here, so yes. I'll knit that. Okay, we've started, we've gotten started. That's something. I think I am gonna have to, because we've ended up below the lifeline, I am gonna have to take it out, which is not meant to be the point. Oh dear. This is why I thought I'd film this, because it's to be an adventure. Be an adventure. I think now I can basically just work out where I was in the pattern and knit back up using these strands as my working yarn. Which is nice because, yeah, I was going to talk all about perfectionism in this video, but I think I'm going to be concentrating too much on trying to do this to talk to the camera about, you know, a theme. And as my partner says, when I was telling him this, he was like, so you're gonna talk about perfectionism in the voiceover and not in the actual footage because it won't turn out well enough, And he's right. I'm not necessarily the best at just speaking ad hoc with no script. So yeah, I'll let voiceover me talk about the deep stuff while I just concentrate on doing this.
It's taken me a long time to figure out what I want to write for the script of this voiceover. I drafted paragraphs upon paragraphs of musings and ramblings, only to realise half of them weren't relevant. I've reordered them and tried to edit them down, only to end up adding to them and going on so many different tangents. I've read them over and over again, trying to work out what point I'm trying to make, and what story I'm trying to tell here, and wondering how best to make things flow smoothly from one thing to the next. And the kicker is, this whole time I've been sitting here thinking, why is this taking me so long? It's not like I'm being a perfectionist about it, because I know it won't be perfect, and I don't even want or need it to be perfect. But I do need it to be just right. And then I realised, just right is just another way of saying perfect. It was quite annoying, really. I'd done the knitting and the filming, and I'd done most of the editing, and despite being pretty new to the filming and video editing, it was the writing that was holding me back from getting this video done and published. See, I've been writing since I could hold a pen. I spent my childhood making up stories, have had a couple of short stories published, and have written multiple novels, not to mention all the novels I started and never finished. Out of all the skills I just listed, writing ought to be the one I'm most comfortable with. Instead, it's the one I'm getting the most hung up on. My writing is where my perfectionism hits the hardest. With filming and video editing, I know the finished product will be rough around the edges, and I'm okay with that. Or rather, I'm making myself be okay with that, because I'm new to this, and there's so much I haven't learned yet. If anyone judges my lack of skill, well, they're being harsh and unfair and judgmental. If someone judges my writing to be lacking, though, with all the practice I've had over the years, with the good grades I had in English at school, I feel I ought to be good at this. I'll have tried to prove myself as a good writer, only to prove the opposite. I'll have tried to have an impact with my writing, only to instead evoke a grimace, a suppressed laugh, an awkward silence. Because, oh, that was meant to be good? She thought that was good? She really had aspirations of being a bestseller? She really had dreams of her work being critically acclaimed, when that's what she's capable of? Every time I sit down to write, I risk that humiliation, and I fear it. These days, on the rare occasions I do sit down to write, that fear then drives me away from my keyboard, away from my pen and paper. I daren't take that risk of trying, only to have my hopes and dreams dashed in front of my eyes yet again. But that's the thing. It's a risk we take every time we start a new creative project. That it won't be just right, that we'll be embarrassed, that we'll be judged, or that we'll judge ourselves not good enough. And the higher our hopes or expectations, the bigger that risk feels. When I first picked up knitting, the only hope I had for it was that it'd keep my anxious hands busy, and that was easily accomplished whether I just knit only garter stitch, or if I tried and failed to master a more challenging technique. The only thing I risked if I tried this thing and failed was the bit of money I'd spent on a pair of needles and some yarn. Don't get me wrong, there was still some fear of getting things wrong. But because that fear was far less tied to my sense of identity and to the lifelong dream I coveted, it wasn't as hard to, what's the phrase? Feel the fear and do it anyway? Yeah, cliche, I know, but true. Because it was a much smaller amount of fear, it took a lot less effort to push through. I was worried that, won't I look silly if I've spent all this time knitting a thing and it turns out wonky, and such. But these low-level fears I could live with, and do the thing anyway. And so what if my knitwear turned out a bit wonky? I was a beginner still, that was to be expected. I could manage to not be too hard on myself about that, and not take it too much to heart.
I think I've done it a bit wrong, but like, it's less wrong than it was before. So I think it's fine. I'm just gonna knit it back up to the top, pop it back on the needles, we'll see what it looks like, I guess. I think that will even out looking. I think I know what I did. I think I started on the wrong row. Oh well, never mind. I guess the real test is, can I resume this pattern? Can I keep knitting as I was doing and have it like carry on okay? That makes sense. Because if it looks a bit wonky, then maybe that's fine, so long as I can carry on knitting the shawl. Right, okay. So obviously it's been a while since I've knitted this, so let's see, where was I? So I was really enjoying knitting this shawl before I made a mistake and decided to put it away for a bit. So I'd really just like to be able to resume it. I'm going to turn this off now. Yeah, it's a bit wonky. This yarn I've ended up giant. I wonder why. Can I be bothered to fix it though? No, you know what? I don't think anyone will be able to tell. No one is going to look close enough at this. No one. So, okay, where was I in the pattern? I can do that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put a stitch marker in where the mistake was, and we'll come back to it later and see if I can see it. Do I have a stitch marker on me? That was a silly question. Of course I do. It's a cute little sheep. You won't be able to see that from there. Maybe you'll be able to see that from here. Look. Cute little sheep. Here's our mistake. Approximately here-ish. Okay, and now I'm just going to carry on knitting. What are we doing on this row? Please tell me, pattern. Yes, we've gotten to the end of the repeat, and it's worked out right, which means our stitch count is right, which, to be honest, is all I care about. If it looks vaguely right, you know, it's not too noticeable. I mean, it's a little bit noticeable, but it's fine. It's nowhere near as noticeable as I assume it was in the 2 minutes when I saw the original mistake before I decided to try and fix it and then did it wrong. So you know what? I'm happy. Yay! I finally finished this row! After how many months? Yeah, you can tell what I think I've done here is I've accidentally done, like, I guess 2 right side rows together here, which is why I've ended up with this giant yarn over. And then further up I've ended up doing 2 wrong side rows together, basically. But it's the right shape. Look, you can see, well, I don't know if you can see actually, you can see the line, and it's a nice smooth line. It's not like zigzagging, which is I think what it was doing before. So I don't think it's going to be too noticeable in the end. So I'm not going to go back and refix it. I'm not bothered about that. So now I have a wrong side row to do. I finally finished this row. Amazing. And then after I've done this this wrong side row, I'm gonna put a lifeline in. I love this project. I'm so happy I get to knit this project again. Yay!
There's a tweet from a few years ago that claims that Irish crocheters used to believe that a flawless piece of work would trap a little bit of their soul, and so they would deliberately leave at least one mistake in their work to keep their soul intact. Now, I did find an article that said there isn't really any evidence of this, but it did list a bunch of similar superstitions amongst fibre artists and crafters from various other cultures, such as embroiderers in Punjab making changes to the pattern to mark events, and weavers of Navajo rugs adding an incongruent line to celebrate imperfection and humility. I'll leave a link to that article in the description. But regardless of the truth of that claim in the tweet, reading it was absolutely revolutionary on my outlook on mistakes in my work. It just blew my mind that somebody might put a mistake in their work on purpose. I don't think I'd ever really considered the possibility of not doing one's utmost to do the absolute best job possible. Never mind doing something to intentionally mess that up. It gave me a great template for reframing those fears of mistakes, and it's the reason that now, if I think a knit might turn out wonky, I'm just as likely to say, well, that's fine, it has some handmade charm, and I think that's cute actually, as I am to say, never mind, I know or can find out how to fix this, so I don't need to fret too much about it. And that's the other thing that has helped me ease the fear of failure enough that the risk of something going wrong doesn't stop me from starting intimidating new projects like lace shawls anyway. I've learned how to fix my mistakes, and my past experiences are evidence that I can do it. My first lace shawl, for example, I had to restart at least 3 times before I got the beginning section right. It was really frustrating at the time, of course, but I quickly learned strategies to make it a piece easier, like using lifelines and using stitch markers to keep track of where I was in the row. At the time, I hoped that these were like stabilizers on a child's bike, or inflatable armbands worn while learning to swim, and next time, having had this practice, I wouldn't need these crutches to be able to accomplish it easily. Instead, I found that these aren't learning devices that you stop using once you've learned. They're tools you can use whether you're a beginner or an expert. And now that I've learned how to use these tools, the project seems so much less intimidating, and the prospect of making a mistake seems so much less loaded. If I make a mistake, there is nowhere near so much at stake. It doesn't make me a failure, and it won't even ruin one project. Maybe it'll take me an extra hour or two to fix, but an hour or two isn't much in the grand scheme of things, and it's certainly nothing to fear. The tricky thing is that in order to gain the capability that allows you the confidence to lessen the fear of making mistakes, you first need to face that fear in order to make the mistakes so that you can learn how to fix them. I know, it's a perverse vicious cycle. There's no way around that, unfortunately. You have to do it anyway, knowing you may, or probably will, make mistakes. I know, easier said than done. But I promise you'll be okay. Making mistakes has no bearing on your worth as a person, and you'll feel so much more accomplished once you've learned to fix them. And remember the idea of leaving a mistake in your work to let a piece of your soul escape, a little memento of the beautifully imperfect human who spent hours and hours making this thing by hand. If the idea of making a mistake still really bugs you, remember that no non-knitter is going to look closely enough to notice it. And even if they do, they don't know what to look for, they don't know what it's meant to look like. For all they know, that bit over there that looks a bit different is a design feature. It's meant to look like that. And if another knitter looks closely enough to see your mistake, well, they'll probably find it very relatable and be relieved to see that other people make mistakes too. The stories we enjoy are the ones where characters face and overcome hardships, because that's so much more interesting than a story where everything is smooth sailing. They take risks that might not pay off. They risk disappointment and shame and judgment if they fail. I feel so much more attachment to, and so much more pride, in the projects I struggled but persevered with, where I encountered problems I was baffled by, but figured out a way to make things work, where I either left in a mistake as a unique quirk, or had to undo and redo sections, than to projects where I started knitting and everything was just fine and then I finished it. These projects have a story, full of exciting twists and turns, that I remember each time I wear them. If nothing else, it gives me something interesting to say about the garment after, "Thanks, I made it myself," when someone makes a comment about it. And now we've come full circle, and I think I've finally got this voiceover script just right. I may be okay with my knitting not always being just right, but I guess I'll have to keep working on it in my writing.
There we go, that's the row done. So what I'll probably do now is add in a lifeline, so I can literally just, all of these stitches that are on this red cable, I can literally just thread something, like just some thread, through those live stitches that are on the cable in a straight line all the way across, and then any mistakes I make going forward, I don't need to worry about if I need to unravel back to that point, I can, and then they're just on the thread, they're just there, they're ready to go, they're ready to be put back on the needle, ready to be knitted. I don't need to worry about them dropping any further than that because they physically can't. And if I do need to drop down just one specific section, I physically can't go any further down than that, which just gives a little bit of reassurance. So I'll do that off camera, I guess. I think I've given myself enough B-roll footage for however much of a voiceover I decided to do on perfectionism and making mistakes in knitting.
Just a few extra resources I wanted to add in here. Something else that's helped reframe how I perceive failure is the podcast How to Fail with Elizabeth Day, which interviews various celebrities and other figures about failures they've had in their lives. That was also kind of revolutionary for me to hear that yes, successful people fail too, and learning from mistakes and all that. Also, another podcast I listen to, Out of Ink, have just released an episode on perfectionism, and that was really good, and I highly recommend it. Obviously, my perfectionism comes a lot from the fear of embarrassment from people judging me, and if that's something that resonates with you, then I do recommend a video that Caroline Winkler just posted, and I've forgotten what it's called. What is it called? Called 7 Reasons Why You Should Be Embarrassing. I'm going to put the links to all of those in the description. I hope this has helped to show you that you don't need to feel ashamed of things not turning out right, but also that you're not alone in feeling that. Don't let these fears hold you back. Don't let them stop you trying the things you want to try. And know that I'll be right here doing the exact same. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments if you found this helpful and what you'd like to see more of. Keep crafting, and I'll see you next time!